We're going to talk to Callum Drysdale now, as the author and co-host of the Anglo-Futurism podcast, because we need to talk about the Chagos Islands and Nigel Farage. Let's have a look at Nigel.
The presentation of what the American administration believes is a fantasy. Joe Biden is going. In fact, many think he's gone already. I have been contacted by very senior officials and advisors from the incoming Republican administration, and every single one of them is appalled at this deal. They know the leasehold agreement will not survive, just as the deal with China over Hong Kong didn't survive. Hasn't the time come for the government to admit this is a rotten deal for the UK, a rotten deal for America, and an even worse deal for the Chagossians? And if you care so much about the sovereignty of the Falklands being in the hands of the Falkland Islanders, why not have a referendum of the Chagossians and ask them to settle who should have sovereignty over those islands?
Deal. I'm certain that when the detail of the deal has been put before this House and before our US friends and other allies, they will see that the deal secures not only the future of the UK-US base, something that is not the case until this deal was signed, but secures it well into the next century, where he and I will no longer be in this place, but the UK-US base will be on Diego Garcia, still operating, securing our national interests.
I think he may rue the day when he said that, the minister in question. Callum, very good morning to you.
Morning to you too, Mike.
It seems as though this is a problem of the government's own making. You know, they tried to be clever. They tried to do the deal before the new Mauritian government came in. The new Mauritian government now don't want it. The new Trump administration doesn't want it. The Chagossians don't want it. So why on earth are they still pressing it through?
I think this is a case where the government has, well, I think it's two things. The government has inherited this problem. I think the Liz Truss, when she was still in government, was effectively ambushed is maybe too generous of a word. She was caught at the side of an international summit and was grabbed and told, oh, you're going to reopen the case of the Chagos Islands, aren't you? And she rather panicked. And like what Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, did when he was in negotiations with her and said, oh, does Britain admit Russian sovereignty over two Russian regions? And she blurted out that they didn't, and actually he named two regions that were in Russia, and they rather used Liz Truss's naivety against her. But I think what's worrying is that the current government coming in took this and rather eagerly thought, how can we accelerate this? How can we hand away British territory as quickly as possible? So we've gone from maybe the naivety of Liz Truss to the eagerness of the new Labour government to hand away British territory because they think that they are doing the right thing, in inverted commas. Right. And I think we can talk about the mistake that is.
But is it something, do you think, that they conversed about before they took over in Downing Street? Because it seems to me that they've done it in just as much haste. It didn't seem as though it was even on the horizon before the election.
I mean, I think it definitely was. So these started with when James Cleverly was the Foreign Secretary. But I think you're right that they've displayed no hesitation in accelerating these conversations and pushing ahead with them, despite the I think quite patent issues with the handing over of the British Indian Ocean territories. And I think the best way of understanding this is that Keir Starmer has spent his career acting as a human rights lawyer, meaning that for him it's very clear that an international court put out a admittedly advisory judgment, and thus the only thing that he can do is hurry to dispose of these islands as quickly as possible, despite and not look at all at the case itself, because I think that's what's most notable about this is Mauritius supported by originally when the islands were separated from the administration, when it was still a colony, was separated. They made it clear, the first Prime Minister made it clear, that they didn't care about these islands.
No, I think that's the point. I'm sorry to rush you off, Callum, but we're out of time. We've got to get to the news. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Callum Drysdale, author of the Anglo Futurism podcast.